Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Ian. Today we're carrying on with this lovely little ICM Leyland retriever and getting on quite well now. So hopefully some major painting ahead, and we're getting close to putting the whole model together. I hope you enjoy it. I've completed the work on the cab as far as fastening it to the chassis is concerned. The final little bit, this bar at the back. So that's now complete, apart from doing some weathering and various bits and pieces. I've also been doing some additional work on the back, and these pieces here come in two parts and glue together and then fix in vertically. And then there's these five little inserts that go in. One of them is different, so just be cautious about that. The rest of them are just exactly the same, and they slot in really nicely and keep everything vertical, which is great. I've also built up the storage boxes. These two here are accessed from the top. I don't know whether you can see down in there where the hatches are, and these are accessed from the sides. These fit really nicely. These are rather tight over the little lips that are in there to fasten them over. So there are various ways you can do that. I put mine on while they were still a little bit soft as far as the glue is concerned, and you can probably see, especially here, that there are some small gaps. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over those with Mr. Surfacer. They also say to put the tailgate on. I haven't done that yet, and the reason for that is here. You can see these draw bolts on here, and they are tiny and very, very delicate, and I've been frightened that I would actually break those, so I haven't fitted the tailgate as yet. However, now the tailgate can pretty much go on, I think, because those boxes will help that. So we'll see. I've no need to put it on yet, so I don't want to break those draw bolts. That'd be an absolute pain to try and redo. Everything is square, so I've no issues with that. So as I say, I'll get up around these with Mr. Surfacer, and then just knock it back with a cotton bud with some leveling thinners on. Then I don't have to actually sand these gaps. I did the same on here, on the fuel tank, which I've now resprayed. It's still drying, but at the ends here, you can see there are no gaps showing, and that's all down to using a little bit of Mr. Surfacer just to close those in. The beauty of doing it with a cotton bud, of course, with thinners, is that one, you don't have to clean up after the sanding, and you're not damaging any of the surface detail. But secondly, if you're careful, you can still leave a little line there, a little panel line, rather than it all being uniformly smooth. So it looks a bit more realistic. So there we are. That's where I'm up to at the moment. I'm going to continue with this. We're not too far off the point where I'll have to start thinking about spraying it. So I think what I'm going to do with this, I'm not going to worry about the wood. I'm going to do some pre-shading on it, so I haven't decided which way to go yet. I will either spray the whole thing grey and do some black pre-shading, or I will spray the whole thing black and do some grey or white pre-shading. We'll have to wait and see. So that's the plan at the moment, and we'll see how that develops. I'm just finishing off with the Mr. Surfacer, which I've applied at various parts around these boxes. I've done it once and cleaned it off, and I just had to go back and do one or two little bits because it does sink back. So I just thought I'd show you what I'm doing here. Basically, I'm just now going round with some Mr. Colour levelling thinners and just cleaning off any excess. It comes off really quite easily. The great thing about the Mr. levelling thinners is that Mr. Colour levelling thinners is that they don't attack the plastic. You could probably do this with IPA, but it would take a long time. So I tend to do it this way. I saw Nigel do this on Nigel's modelling bench first, and he's right, it works tremendously well. And if you have a look through Nigel's videos, you will find plenty of mentions of Mr. Surfacer. He's pretty much known as Mr. Surfacer. But he uses this technique quite a lot, and it's really, really good. It just cleans everything up. And as I said previously, the great thing is it doesn't get rid of the panel line that you're creating. So you can still see the edges. You haven't filled anything in particularly. You've just got rid of the gap. So all around the top of these boxes, just making sure. And it's a really good technique. And there we are, almost all cleaned up. Just a little bit more on the back here. So now we've no gaps at all, but the lines have been kept, so that's looking pretty good. Not quite got that bit there. And just keep at it. I find it quite cathartic actually. It's a good thing to do, and it just slowly cleans everything up. And if there are any small bits left, the paint will probably just cover it, but doesn't take very long at all to get rid of these little bits. There we are, all done. So I'll get on with a bit of building now. I've got the tailgate to put on. Gonna have to be careful with those drop bolts, and I've got the mud guards to put on, and then we're ready for painting. I've now completed the back. I've put the tailgate on. Just need a little bit more glue on that, but as you can see, these draw bolts here are really quite delicate, but they're protected now, so I don't think I'm going to knock them off as long as I'm careful. I've got the mud flaps on, and they're in two parts. They have a small bracket which runs down the back there. It's difficult for you to see just on here, but they sit into two grooves, and they go in really well, and the angles match up beautifully. So this is all now ready for painting, apart from the two benches that need to go in, but it's ready for priming. So that's the next step. I just need to wait for the glue to dry. Once that's fully cured, then I'll give it a wipe over with some IPA, and then we'll get a coat of Mr. Surfacer Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 black. I'm going to do the main primer as black. So we'll get that done, and it really is coming on apace now, isn't it? So I need to get the back undercoated, decide what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to do any pre-shading, all that kind of thing. The main thing is to get some primer on, prime the benches, and then think about the main colour scheme, which is obviously going to be the olive green. But we'll see how that goes, and it is getting inexorably closer. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's totally free and it does help. And if you click the bell, YouTube will let you know every time I release a new video. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Cheerio.